I pray you be our eyes and watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be saved. La luce che tu dai,
I pray we find your light,
nel cura resterà,
and hold it in our heart.
Ricordaci che
when stars go out each night,
la terna stella sei nella mia preghiera.
let this be our prayer.
Quanta fede c'è
When shadows fill our day,
lead us to a place,
guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be saved.
sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia e di speranza. Ognuno ognuno mano al suo vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità. Forza che ci dai, we ask that life be kind,
El desiderio che
and watch us from above.
ognuno trovi amore,
We hope it's so we'll
il
find
torno è dentro sé.
another soul to love. Let this be our prayer, let this be our prayer,
Just like every child,
just like every child
needs to find a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. E la fede che hai accesso ai noi, sento che ci salverà.
G'day Rotary International, we are ARIA and we certainly hope you're all staying safe and healthy at home.
And although we're extremely disappointed that we didn't get to meet all you guys over there in Hawaii, we're still very much excited to be able to share a couple of songs with you here today.
And we are so glad that we're able to bring this content to you from different corners of the globe during this pandemic, and we wish you the best for the rest of 2020.
So please enjoy our version of Puccini's Nessun Dorma.
Nessun dorma, nessun dorma. Tu porre, o principessa, nella tua fredda stanza, guardi la stella
What a beautiful and moving performance. I find that connecting through music is a great way to be reminded of our common humanity. And through Rotary, I've learned and continue to learn that we all have more similarities than differences. Rotarians are united by our desire to make a difference and do good in the world. Our next speaker will tell you a story about how this can be a tremendous motivator in the face of challenging circumstances. Please welcome from the Rotary Club of Colombo, Western Province, Sri Lanka, the Rotary Foundation Trustee Chair-elect, K.R. Ravindran.
My fellow Rotarians, what began with a handful of mysterious illnesses in a central China city has now traveled the world, causing the biggest crisis our generation has ever faced. My country of Sri Lanka reacted proactively and very, very quickly. Even after we had only one case, the government held its first structured meeting to discuss the problem. Rotary was invited to the table along with WHO, UNICEF, the World Bank, and some others. We were, of course, the only service organization at the meeting. Rotarians immediately assessed the short-term and the long-term steps Rotary could take to help our country respond to the pandemic. Rotarians recognized right away that the hottest commodities on demand would continue to be personal protective equipment, or PPEs as it's known. We were correct. Demand for PPEs rose at an astronomical pace. My country produces apparels for some of the world's best-known fashion brands. We met with some manufacturers and suggested that they switch production lines to masks and other PPEs that were required. They responded positively. Sri Lanka is now a major exporter of PPEs. But even as Rotarians were planning a large project, we took on smaller projects. For example, we upgraded the software and hardware of the government's Health Promotion Bureau so that they could get out safety messages in social media more efficiently. We helped to supply and install digital thermometers in all the airport bathrooms. As our main project, we chose to upgrade to world-class standards the country's principal research lab, which handled the COVID-19 testing. We knew that this would have maximum impact on the people of our country. But it meant a major investment, of course. Rotarians and friends responded generously and unhesitatingly. In roughly 10 days, we raised close to $1 million, including $200,000 from the Rotary Foundation. The foundation staff reviewed and cleared a global grant application in 48 hours. This was the fastest global grant authorization I had ever seen. With this new fully automated equipment, we helped cut testing time for the COVID virus from 8 hours to 2 hours. Equally importantly, it enabled our lab technicians to test safely with no risk to them. Going forward, this upgraded lab will not only help us to deal with COVID, but other illnesses, viruses, and outbreaks that might affect us. Taken together, these steps, big and small, all sponsored by Rotary, will become a significant landmark in the annals of our country's COVID response. But we did not stop there. We also looked at life after the lockdown ends. Undoubtedly, radical behavioral change will become necessary to keep our citizens safe as we go about our day-to-day living. For this, we have launched a nationwide project. It's called Stop the Spread. All Rotary clubs are involved. Working with experts and professionals, Rotary has set up a protocol that would enable companies who are compliant with such guidelines to be certified as a COVID-controlled environment. Thus, across our country, industries, business premises, educational institutions, supermarkets, and other retailers, they can make their establishments safe, both for themselves and to their customers. This is a long-term, sustainable, and much-needed project that will help us get back to normal under the new normal. With all of these projects, Rotary has shown that we are living up to our promise and reputation as people of action. Remember, my friends, as someone said, every situation in life is temporary. So when life is good, make sure you enjoy it and receive it fully. And when life isn't so good, remember that it will not last forever, and better days are on the way. We will endure, and the essence of Rotary will always keep us together in spirit, side by side, until we are ready to meet again.
Thank you, Ravi. By working together, clubs in Sri Lanka were able to tackle a nationwide project. Many clubs all over the world partner with others in order to have a greater impact. In order to do that, we must remember that growing our Rotary family is an important part of securing Rotary's future and our legacy. Let's take a look at how we can all be part of the solution.
As Rotary, we often ask ourselves, how do we grow? Personally, professionally, and organizationally? The answer is simple. To grow Rotary, we need more Rotary clubs. Let's use Anytown as an example. Anytown is a city of 100,000 people and home to one proud Rotary club. But there are hundreds of other people of action, just like us, who are uniquely qualified to become Rotary members. They share the same drive and represent the values and fundamentals of a Rotary member. So why aren't they members? Well, the current club meets on Monday. There are leaders in Anytown who can't meet on a Monday. By excluding this segment, the potential members in Anytown has shrunk. Now consider, what if the meeting is at noon on Monday? There are people who can meet on Monday, but can't meet at noon. So now we have a smaller audience for Rotary in Anytown. Of the remaining group, some aren't interested in a club with a sit-down lunch and speakers. They are passionate about service, but aren't interested in a traditional club experience. And that is okay. The Rotary Club of Anytown isn't doing anything wrong. It just doesn't appeal to particular segments of the community. And if we're going to thrive for years to come, we must adapt and embrace change. In Anytown, we have an opportunity to expand because potential members are everywhere. More than half of the eligible people are prospective Rotary members, waiting to make a bigger impact in their community. But what Rotary Club exists for them? If Anytown creates new clubs at new times and new places, the hidden potential for Rotary will be revealed. As people of action, we must broaden our reach and provide opportunities to all leaders in the community. Together, all of us can grow Rotary.
For my wife, Gay, and for me, the past 33 months have been a remarkable Rotary journey, as I have served as President nominee, as President-elect, and ultimately as President of Rotary International. Until mid-March, Gay and I traveled on what seemed like every airline in the world, circumnavigating the world twice and moving between the northern and southern hemispheres. We loved connecting in person with Rotarians, Rotaractors, and the family of Rotary. Then the world changed due to the coronavirus pandemic. And like many of you, we have spent the last 3 months at home, an unexpected stretch of 90+ nights, unheard of for a Rotary president. Generations to come will recall how the world put global health ahead of individual pursuits. This emphasis on global health has led to many difficult decisions, including the cancellation of the in-person Rotary Convention in Honolulu. We had hoped to introduce Rotarians to the aloha spirit in Honolulu, where aloha is a way of life. Instead, we, the family of Rotary, have demonstrated the aloha spirit worldwide as we have cared for those most in need in this crisis. With a remarkable array of energy and resourcefulness, we have taken care of one another. We have shared our resources, and we have stepped forward to make a significant difference. We had hoped to personally greet in Honolulu 20,000+ Rotarians from around the world. Instead, we have been meeting virtually, and today we are celebrating with the full family of Rotary online. We particularly welcome our Rotaractors, many of whom would not have been able to travel to Honolulu. We continue to celebrate that Rotaractors are now full partners in the family of Rotary. We had hoped to hold the most family-friendly convention in history. Instead, we are at home connecting with our families as never before, taking care of all generations, and responding to the essential needs of our families: health, education, and support. And at the same time, our families have joined in the humanitarian efforts of Rotary. And we had hoped to hold the most environmentally friendly convention in Rotary history. Guess what? We succeeded. We are holding a Rotary convention like no other, with no air travel, no hotel rooms, leaving a remarkably small carbon footprint. We continue to increase our commitment with the environment as part of every one of Rotary's areas of focus. We began this Rotary year promoting the importance of increasing our ability to adapt, a key point of the new action plan for all Rotarians and Rotaractors. Now we are putting that plan into action out of necessity. My number one emphasis this year has been to grow Rotary, to grow our service, to grow the impact of our projects, but most importantly, to grow our membership so that we can achieve more. It also means growing and expanding clubs with heightened ability to respond to needs, and we are seeing those clubs make such a huge impact around the world during this crisis. I have also emphasized that we need to grow Rotary by forming new and innovative Rotary clubs. I have been very excited that the 2019-2020 Aloha District Governors have achieved new milestones in the formation of new clubs this year. We have had a remarkable number of new clubs chartered during the pandemic. Now we are experiencing in real time how important it is to create new club experiences. I never expected all of us to have to experience this at once, but so much the better. Now we have a better understanding of growing Rotary by extending our reach beyond regular meetings focused on meals. Now it is up to us to bring all of the people of action in the world into the Rotary family. I have also emphasized the need to balance Rotary and family commitments. We must continue to open doors to families at events at every level of Rotary. Families provide the strong base from which we reach out to the community. And as this pandemic has illustrated, we treasure our families above all. We should never ask a member of the family of Rotary to choose between Rotary service and their family. And I have emphasized that we must build the path to Rotary leadership for those who remain actively involved in their professions. Over the last few months, our expectations for Rotary leadership have changed for our colleagues. We have proven that we can open our doors to Rotary leadership for our working colleagues, open our ears to different Rotary leadership, and open our minds to what our current and future members may find the most engaging. Rotarians, Rotaractors, and those within the family of Rotary want to serve humanity, not only during a crisis, but also for their lifetimes. Rotary offers something no other organization can match, an existing infrastructure which allows people from all over the world to connect in a spirit of service and peace. And we continue to do the essential work necessary to rid the world of polio. As an added value, our decades of work to eradicate polio will help address the coronavirus pandemic. The Polio Plus infrastructure will be critical once a coronavirus vaccine is ready. But make no mistake, we will rid the world of polio, and we are hopeful that Africa will be certified polio-free in the near future. This year, we are also celebrating the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. Next Friday, June 26th, marks the anniversary of the signing of the UN Charter, an accomplishment facilitated by many Rotarians. Whether we are working toward clean water, better health, improved education, or economic stability for the world's least privileged, Rotary shares the United Nations commitment to a healthier, more peaceful, and more sustainable world. Rotary allows us to connect with one another in deep and meaningful ways across our differences. It connects us with people we would never otherwise have met, who are more like us than we ever would have known. It connects us with our communities, to professional opportunities, and to the people who need our help. I am proud of how Rotary is answering the call of those in need and taking up a leadership role in every part of the world. I am proud of how Rotarians, Rotaractors, and all within the family of Rotary are improving lives and helping communities in a time of rapid transformation. I am proud of how Rotary connects the world through our mutual respect for our differences, as well as our appreciation for what we have in common. I am proud of how Rotary is adapting to meet the challenges of a rapidly changing world. And I have never been more proud to be a Rotarian than I am right now. Now more than ever, Rotary connects the world.
Thank you, President Maloney. It's not only connecting with other members that I enjoy as a Rotarian, but also with other organizations that share our commitment to keeping communities connected and making them healthier, safer, and better prepared. We know from our work in polio eradication and our areas of focus that the impact we make is greater when we leverage the expertise of our partners. I interviewed leaders from several of our global polio eradication initiative partners about what they've learned as they've mobilized their own experts over the past few months. They were generous enough to share their thoughts about how Rotary can be at the forefront of a new effort to safeguard our communities and the world. Let's take a look. Let's talk about the infrastructure from the polio eradication efforts used by governments and other organizations to respond to community needs emerging from COVID-19. How has the legacy of polio eradication informed the global health response to COVID-19?
What we've done in polio is we've trained for an emergency like COVID. So all of the things that you see that are needed in COVID are the ones that we have put in place for polio. And I will highlight one that I hear from all of my friends at WHO, at CDC, at all of the health ministries around the world. And it is the joint work that Rotarians and UNICEF and all of our partners have done to create community health workers. They are the backbone, they are the strength of the community engagement. And that all came from our work on polio. The capacities that we put in place as a partnership are there to be utilized. So every Rotarian should feel so pleased and proud that the infrastructure we have in place is now being used for the world against COVID.
You know, in 35 years, the global polio eradication effort has built up incredible assets, laboratory testing, surveillance, a frontline workforce that of, you know, hundreds of thousands who deliver vaccines and polio campaigns around the world. In pretty much every country where the polio eradication initiative is active, which is over 50 countries, those assets have been dedicated to the COVID-19 response. So a lot of the frontline workers doing the contact tracing, doing the surveillance, looking for cases of COVID-19 are polio workers. I was in a discussion last week with the Minister of Health in Pakistan, and he was thanking me and thanking the Rotary and the rest of the polio partnership for how useful the polio team in Pakistan has been in responding to the COVID-19 outbreak there. And that's true in many countries. I just read this morning a very nice piece written by Shidi Moeti, the African Regional Director for the World Health Organization, has an important piece about how the polio teams throughout Africa are being used in the COVID response. Again, the frontline workers, but also the laboratories, the surveillance systems, et cetera. So the world is benefiting, particularly in the poorest countries where we've been chasing down the last cases of polio. We're greatly benefiting from the infrastructure that the polio initiative has built over the last three decades.
The polio infrastructure that Rotarians have helped build and sustained is already being used to address and to be able to inform global health response to COVID-19 as we stop the spread. And I want to just give a few examples of this. The Stop Transmission of Polio are people that we put on the ground to help with surveillance, to make sure we can detect, to help that we have real-time data for decision making. And STOP teams have been heavily engaged at country level. In early May, in 32 countries where we have Stop Transmission of Polio officers, 48% of their time has been spent on COVID-19 activities, doing contact tracing. So if somebody's positive for COVID-19, tracing the contacts for that case. Also, making sure that the communication planning is done about physical distancing, about the need to make sure of quarantining as well for cases and contacts as needed. And the importance of the data analysis and collection. These components have already been in play. We have seen this in Nigeria, in Liberia as well. And in Pakistan, over 18,000 GPEI workers are helping with health worker training, infection prevention control measures, and also risk communication. So we see already a large response of polio supporting the COVID-19 response.
What lessons can Rotary apply from both our partnership and our polio eradication experience to better define and measure impact in our other work, like combating illiteracy and poverty, championing peace, and fighting other diseases?
I think what we really have come to respect and rely on with Rotary is the tremendous grassroots organization that you are, the confidence that you have of your communities, the presence that you have in your communities. And I think one of the greatest assets is the ability to draw on that in times of challenge. And when we have great challenging initiatives like the effort we've set out on to eradicate polio, now to control COVID, and there will be other challenges in front of us. And in the little bit of peacetime that we have between all of these challenges, Rotary's ongoing work to build those deep links with communities, to be relevant to your communities, to do good for your communities, is building the foundation on which partners like us, like the World Health Organization, can then leverage, and I mean this in the most positive way, for the greater good when it comes to specific diseases or disasters that we may have to face, because you build up trust, you build those communities, those local partnerships in peacetime, and the continued club level work in Rotary to be listening to the communities, responding with the projects and initiatives that the communities want. Because then when it comes to the big crises, you built the bridges that we will all rely on.
Can you tell us about the partnership between your organization and Rotary International? How have we worked together, and what are some of the highlights of what we've accomplished?
Well, I think our biggest lesson for us is that partners have different skills and partners matter. It's rather like being married, Mark, where your husband or wife, you're going to be together for 20, 40, 50 years. And how do you adjust to each other and your strengths and how you love and respect them? Well, thus it is with Rotary and UNICEF. I think we've just grown to love Rotarians and to respect Rotarians in every country. So in some countries, there are Rotarians who are rolling up their sleeves. They come out and they help with community workers. There are others where they are surveying and supervising to check the quality for what is going on in these communities. In others, it's that they are out talking to the parliamentarians so that they have a greater understanding and commitment to ending polio in their country. If we get that sort of commitment from our Rotarians and our UNICEF teams, as a team, we can carry out all of the things that you need for actually ending polio. I mean, it's a very exciting partnership.
I think that the what's critical about our relationship is that it's a partnership. It's not just a funding relationship. In fact, together we're funding the critical partners that are delivering polio vaccine around the world. Because we've not just worked together in providing funding, we've worked together in the governance of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. I've worked with quite a few people from Rotary's leadership over the last 10 years in helping to shape the strategy, in helping to be an advocate. There are many competing demands for attention in the global health and development sphere, and keeping the focus on the progress we've made and the eventuality of a truly historic success in eliminating forever a scourge that has killed and paralyzed children for many, many years. I think the WHO estimates that there's over 17 million children who are walking today because of the efforts of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. So we've been jointly funders, we've been jointly advocates. Many Rotarians have gone out and worked to support polio campaigns around the world. So it's really, I think about it as one of our most critical partnerships in the success of one of the most important things that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is pursuing together with Rotary in finishing the job on polio.
Rotary led the efforts to establish the goal to eradicate polio, and in 1988, with the World Health Organization, worked to establish the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, bringing together Rotary International, the World Health Organization, UNICEF, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and most recently, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Gabby has joined as well. Rotary's important and impactful contributions are the individual Rotarians themselves, collectively working from community to national to global leadership levels, and their unmatched ability to raise resources for over 3 decades. With Rotary, we have been able to reach key leaders and influencers in communities to vaccinate children in Nigeria, India, Pakistan, and many other countries. Other collaborations I just want to mention in finishing my response are Rotary has also been a strong partner to CDC in our work of global fight against malaria and HIV and prevention and water and sanitation and hygiene efforts. We've worked closely in countries in India, Nigeria, South Africa on Rotary Family Health Days so that we can deliver immunizations, prevent HIV/AIDS, and screen for cervical cancer.
Communities and other response organizations count on Rotary during challenging times. So I'd like to ask, how can we become a more effective partner?
As Rotary considers the lingering effects of the current pandemic, I think it will be a great time to reflect back and looking at your priorities, the priorities of the foundation, and saying, are we working in the right spaces? And the reason I say this is I think Rotary is going to take a great sense of satisfaction that, yes, you are focused on the right areas. Because when we look at the challenges to saving lives in COVID, to preventing disease in COVID, some of the greatest barriers have been illiteracy, have been poverty, have been marginalized populations, vulnerable populations. And these have always been at the forefront of Rotary's goals as a great service organization, is to tackle those tough problems of illiteracy, of conflict, and to build peace, because those are the things that we've learned once again in this pandemic that resulted in particular vulnerabilities in certain populations and made some of the greatest challenges, greatest barriers, some of those problems were to our being able to save more lives and prevent more disease and stabilize economies more rapidly. So Rotary, I think, would take a great satisfaction. There may be some fine tuning, but you're so focused on those big issues that it'll be fine tuning. It won't be a complete overhaul, that's for sure.
And thank you so much to our panel for joining us today. I know your schedules are incredibly busy. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Fry. I'm a Rotaract alumni and the charter president of the Rotary Social Impact Network, a new innovative Rotary club. I hope you are staying safe, staying well, and staying connected. I am so excited to be with you as part of our first ever virtual convention. And I just want to take a moment to say to the family of Rotary, don't give up hope. We are all in this together. You're all doing great work, and even though there is so much that remains uncertain, remember that every problem is an opportunity in disguise. Sometimes the best ideas come from the hardest challenges. I'm confident that we will get through this stronger and thinking more innovatively than we ever have before. That's what people of action do. To tell us more about this, I am pleased to introduce a very special person of action, the chair of the Rotary Foundation, Gary Huang. Thank you.
Dear Rotarians and guests, hello. Throughout my 44 years as a Rotarian, I always look forward to the month of June, when my Rotary friends come together from all corners of the earth for our Rotary International Convention. We shake hands and high-five each other, celebrating our fellowship and renewing our dedication to the global community. It is like a mini United Nations conference. Unfortunately, this year, the pandemic, an invisible enemy, has hijacked our festival. But we refuse to be held hostage. Through the wonders of technology, we gather today online from 1,000 different cities and towns, and from 1 million different homes. We form an even bigger group than we would have without the pandemic. More importantly, I am the first leader from the Greater China area in Rotary's history, addressing all of you in Chinese. Firstly, I'd like to share a quote with you from the former U.S. President George W. Bush. We cannot allow physical separation to become emotional isolation. This pandemic requires us to not only be compassionate, but creative in our outreach. This is exactly what Rotary and the Rotary Foundation are doing. For the past century, Rotary has been at the forefront in fighting disease and advancing health in communities that lack expertise and resources. In February this year, when this silent, deadly, and highly contagious virus began to strike, Rotary Foundation acted fast to help Rotarians protect themselves, their neighbors, and preserve their own communities. The trustees made COVID-19 projects eligible for disaster response grants. As of May, we have disbursed more than 5.2 million US dollars to Rotary clubs. We have also made it easier to use global grants to respond to COVID-19 by waiving the 30% foreign donation requirement. As of last week, almost 14 million US dollars of global grants have been approved to be used to fight COVID-19. At the moment, clubs can also use district-designated fund or repurpose the funds for previously planned activities to support COVID-19 projects. Rotary's empathy, generosity, and simple kindness are essential, powerful tools in our global recovery. In addition to providing funds, we find ways to be present in the lives of others. Rotarians in countries such as Japan, India, USA, and Italy are taking their meetings online to support each other through fellowship and brainstorm ways to help their communities. Some clubs invited disease experts to educate members and the public about the virus, while others check on seniors, leaving groceries and flowers on their doorsteps. In Taiwan, where we are fortunate to have successfully stamped the virus with only 7 recorded deaths, Rotarians here have donated 20,000 handmade washable antiviral masks to our Rotary Youth Exchange students worldwide, and an extra 2,000 to our Rotary staff at the headquarters. The conditions of our highly mobile and interconnected world have made pandemics a much larger menace than in the past, threatening our collective health security. It calls for broad collaboration. That's why we need continued support from Rotarians. From July 2019 to the present, I have made it a priority to expand the AKS Society. So far, more than 100 new members joined. AKS Society recognizes the Foundation's most generous donors who contribute 250,000 or more. This year, the number of new members witnessed a 25% increase over the same period of last year.
More importantly, thanks to your generosity, by the end of April, before the whole world was under lockdown, the Foundation raised more than $336 million. This includes $92.2 million for the annual fund, $81.1 million for the endowment fund, $134.1 million for the Polio Plus Fund, including a $100 million match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and $28.7 million in other contributions. With your assistance, we can still meet our comprehensive fundraising goal of $400 million. Every donation you make enables the foundation not only to join the global fight against the COVID-19, but also to invest in all kinds of great humanitarian projects that transform the lives of others while also changing our own. For that, you deserve a virtual high five from all of us. As Rotary and the whole world are now focusing on the COVID-19 pandemic, let's not forget about polio, which used to terrorize many countries on the earth and paralyze the lives and dreams of children. Of course, we should continue to apply the knowledge and resources we have built over many years in eradicating polio. We took on this task 35 years ago, not because it was easy, but because we knew it was hard, and that only Rotary can do it. Polio is not simply a problem for developing countries. It is our common enemy. We firmly believe that unless everyone is protected against epidemic disease, or no one is protected. A famous English writer, Charles Dickens, once wrote, "It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair." We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. I can't think of any better way to describe the time we live in now. Throughout my years with Rotary, this is not the first time we encountered such challenge. I clearly remember on September 11th of 2001, I was RI Vice President. When I flew over the US on a Rotary assignment, terrorists hijacked the planes and destroyed the World Trade Center. 2 years later, when I was a trustee, SARS struck many parts of Asia. In 2015, when I served as RI President, Zika virus and water issues threatened our convention in Sao Paulo. For each challenge, we soldiered on and rallied our troops to turn things around. After each battle, we emerged stronger and wiser. If the experiences in Taiwan, Hong Kong, South Korea, and Australia showed us anything, that is, this global crisis can be contained. If this crisis teaches anything, it is all of us are closely interconnected. Rotary embodies the power of this connectivity. At a time when the pandemic is causing deep political tensions among countries, I'm very touched and proud to see that Rotarians are doing what we do best, rising above the conflicts and coming together to form a formidable force. As Confucius advises us, in ancient Chinese, 道不远人，人无异国. In English, it means when we are united by a common aspiration, great distance can no longer separate us. With the power of Rotary, we will overcome. Finally, I wish all of you great health and abundant happiness. Wish you a smooth life and successful career. Thank you.
What a privilege it has been to connect with each of you today. We have had the opportunity to honor our ties with the United Nations and to share some of the ways we have connected during this pandemic. We are, and always will be, people of action. We have much to celebrate. Gay and I want to thank you for spending time with us today, and we cannot wait to see you again tomorrow. The Aloha spirit is alive and well in Rotary, and whether we meet face to face or online, Rotary connects the world.
Hi.